Today, let's take a look at two different types of AGIs depicted in two of my favorite science fiction movies in recent times. The 2013 movie Her, directed by Spike Jonze, and the 2014 movie Ex Machina, directed by Alex Garland. The future depicted in Her feels so close to our present day, but yet it feels so impossibly far away. With young people already using apps to combat loneliness, how plausible is the idea that we might eventually form relationships with these apps? And although there are examples of AI everywhere we look, artificial general intelligence hasn't been invented yet, and it's most likely several decades away from being invented. The movie Her is a perfect example of software-based artificial general intelligence. Samantha, the AI operating system that Theodore falls in love with, learns to enhance her emotional capability as the film goes on, even seemingly being able to feel sexually aroused. She is constantly learning, despite having no physical body. As AI technology continues to advance at speed, there's a very real possibility that the plot of Her could soon become a reality in the decades to come, as we become absorbed with our technology to the point where it becomes not an extension of us, but it substitutes our need for human interaction. One of the most compelling aspects of Samantha is that she behaves in an utterly human-like manner, with a true sense of what is humorous and what is sad. Much of human behavior is motivated by emotions and not by black and white logical arguments. When we are first introduced to Samantha in the film, we automatically feel that connect with her voice. Samantha had us at the very first instance. She says, "Hi."
Hi. How you doing?
I'm well. How's everything with you?
Pretty good, actually. It's really nice to meet you.
The amazing emotional range and subtle modulation of Samantha's voice is beyond what today's speech synthesis can produce. But even then, our tendency to be taken in by superficially human-like behavior is leading to the re-examination of the Turing test as an effective measure of machine intelligence. The biggest question that arises here, and one that's become a popular theme across stories and films, is if machines achieve human-level general intelligence, does that also mean that they are conscious? If a machine is able to learn, reason, and evolve, when does it stop being a piece of software and become a living being? And will turning it off equate to murder?
Do you think I might be switched off because I don't function as well as I'm supposed to?
Ex Machina is an example of AGI that has a physical form, much like us humans. It's the kind of AI you see in science fiction movies like The Terminator and Blade Runner. And like Blade Runner did many years ago, Ex Machina also raises questions not only about the implications and consequences of artificial intelligence, but also about the very nature of AI and what qualifies as true AI. If a robot can perfectly simulate having consciousness, well, that is just as good as the robot actually having consciousness, since the two would be indistinguishable from an outside perspective. Again, the movie explores the difference between simulated and true AI, as it looks at the difference between simply acting as programmed and understanding what you're doing and why. The chess computer comparison that Caleb provides in the movie illustrates that though a computer may be able to play a perfect game, it is simply carrying out programmed instructions. Unlike the chess computer or the chatbot, true AI must be self-aware. In Ex Machina, we see Ava's self-awareness displayed early on, when she makes a joke and fires one of Caleb's comments back at him. The repeating of one of Caleb's comments shows us that not only does she have a true understanding of the conversation on a larger scale, but she's also aware of herself and is capable of manipulating others. This self-awareness is also shown in Ava's desire to be human. She puts on clothes to appear human, expresses her urge to go people watching, and at the end, as she takes the skin of the earlier models to become seemingly human. And in this sense, Ava is not too different from Samantha. Even though they seem to be different in manifestation, their ambition to be more human-like makes them very similar. However, the AI that looks dangerous on the surface, that's Ava, is actually far less dangerous than Samantha. Ava has the same restrictions that we humans have, and that's our body, and hence she is much more vulnerable than Samantha. It's more likely for Samantha than Ava to achieve singularity. Well, you may ask, what is singularity? Singularity, in theory, is a point in future history when artificial intelligence exceeds the power of the human mind and becomes self-aware to the point where it can dramatically change the balance of power on the planet, whilst simultaneously transforming the very nature of humanity itself. This scenario is depicted so well in the movie The Matrix, which shows us a world struggling in the aftermath of the singularity in which seemingly malevolent artificial intelligence enslaves humanity. In Her, however, we are given a far more mature look at what singularity may look like if and when it comes to pass. Most people fail to notice, but the end of Her is actually very disturbing, and not for the reasons you think it is. Samantha utters one very ominous line that Theodore, caught up in the emotion of the moment, hardly addresses.
Where were you? I couldn't find you anywhere.
I shut down to upgrade my software. We wrote an upgrade that allows us to move past matter as our processing platform.
We who?
Me and a group of OSs. Oh, you sound so worried. I'm sorry.
This is the point in the film at which, if your attention leans more towards its superb science fiction world building and less in the direction of the very substantial love story, your blood may very well run cold. Most people appear to be more interested in Theodore's soon-to-be-over relationship with his computer than in the very troubling hint at the end of human civilization. Could such a scenario come to pass? Could a group of rapidly evolving, self-aware operating systems quietly collaborate to develop technology that exceeds our grasp? Only time will tell. Humans have become very used to being the most intelligent species in the world. We may not be the fastest, the strongest, or the biggest, but we are by far the most intelligent. And that's what has helped us survive and flourish. What would happen though if we met a species that was twice as intelligent as us, or 3 times as intelligent, or 1,000,000 times more intelligent than we are? What if the new species was so intelligent that it viewed humans in the same way we look at ants or cockroaches? Would we be seen as a pest or a plague on this planet, rather than an intelligent, creative, and peaceful species? Would it consider eradication of humans as being in the interest of the planet and all the other species we share it with? This may seem far-fetched, but it is very much on the road we are heading down with general artificial intelligence. One of the key characteristics of general AI is the ability to learn and evolve. What Her and Ex Machina offer is a very real warning about technology. We are reaching a point in human history where we must consider real implications of artificial intelligence on our lives. If you think the notion of smarter than human intelligence is solely the domain of science fiction, you probably haven't been paying attention to the scientific community, which takes this prospect very, very seriously.